What is going on, folks? I am Goat. Welcome back to Warframe. Oh god, I know, man. I know people are probably either burned the fuck out, and I gotta check something here real quick. Okay. My computer had a hard reset, so I just needed to make sure that my settings were right. So I know that the hot topic right now is Incarnon weapons, and there's a damn good reason for it, because, well, the Incarnon Genesis weapons are DE's way of reworking things to be proper, like to make them more competitive, to make more weapons competitive in the meta of the game. Now, that being said, I do think it's absolutely hilarious that some of these weapons are to the point of busted and doing things that DE kind of said, hey, these shouldn't, we don't want weapons to be this overpowering in the game. We want there to be some challenge, and then all of a sudden we get this shit. So the first one is the Torid. Now, if anybody doesn't know what the fucking Torid is, aside from it exists, I wouldn't blame you. This thing is basically the Ogress or the Kuva Ogress, but way weaker and toxin based. This is an infested, basically grenade launcher, for lack of a better way to put it. Now, my first thought when this Incarnon cycle hit, because we had the Torid, the dual Toxicist, the dual Ichor, or the dual Ichor, the Miter, and the Atomos. And honestly, that is a really, really interesting proposition, because I was curious about the Torid, the dual Toxicist, the Miter, and the Atomos. As of yet, there's only been one good melee that's hit from one I've seen. Everybody else is kind of chatting about, and it's been the ceramic dagger. So obviously that's going to be one I'm going to work on when it rotates back around. So for this cycle, I chose the Torid in the Atomos. So we'll get into the Atomos into the next video, but obviously the Torid, it's a status based, just like the Ogress, toxin based grenade launcher of just weird AoE death, but it just statistically was not the most amazing thing out there. So let's just look at the evolutions I chose. Okay, and then we'll go into the build. So evolution 2, I mean, evolutions 1 is obvious, that's just Incarnon mode. Evolution 2. Now, I just want to preface exactly why in the hell I did this, okay? Because evolution 2 on pretty much everything seems to be upfront damage. Evolution 3 is kind of like utility function. Some of it on some of the weapons seems to affect Incarnon, some of it does not. And then the fourth is just basically statistical buffing, whether it's crit, status, just a statistical boosting overall. That makes any sense. So there's a couple of choices here. This is, in my opinion, the better one, okay? Because the first one is increased damage, but it pulls extra multi-shot for more damage out of your existing capacity. Now, this thing has a piss-poor capacity, and as far as I'm aware, this multi-shot applies directly to the primary side of the gun. Considering low capacity, I find having just more upfront damage and then a little multi-shot on the last shot, which you're never going to fucking use, honestly, unless you intentionally do it, I find this to be just a little bit more useful. Projectile speed. This is on the primary side of the gun, and considering it's a grenade launcher, you want the grenade to go as far as possible, because guess what? You don't need headshots with this thing. You just got to hit a motherfucker. You shoot him in a pinky toe, and you can charge the Incarnon form. And then finally, critical chance and status chance. Now, this seems weird for a statistical weapon. I'll give you that. So here's what I did. I went with, you're going to see hammer shot a lot, because these Incarnon weapons especially play very much into both sides of the gun. Like, if something is statistically strong, it gives you the opportunity to boost the shit out of it on the critical side. So, as you can see, the primary side is 90% crit now from a 15. Obviously, critical bulls are, critical delay has a lot to do with that one. But a 5.6 multiplier, and that's assisted by Vital Sense and Hammer Shot. And then obviously status chance is the 360-60s, Malignant Force Rhyme rounds, and Thermite rounds, coupled with Hammer Shot, because Hammer Shot is critical damage and status chance. But then we're also going for Hunter munitions. Now, the reason being is because we're going to go down here to the Incarnon form, and all of a sudden, this thing gets fucking real, okay? Now, what this thing doesn't talk about, and it's so weird, okay, it's absolutely weird, and I love it. At first, I thought it was chaining. Okay, but it's not. It's actually this thing turns into a beam weapon with an AoE. So this is like this cylindrical beam of death. with this build, 132% crit with an 8.7 multiplier and 194.4 status on a heat viral build that is definitely going to hit slash procs. And all you got to do, and by the way, 170 max charges, so you can just kind of sit there and go Torid, go burr. Yeah, basically you just body shot or pinky toe shot some motherfuckers, and yeah, that's kind of the thing. So we're gonna do the usual. Just go to Ani. I mean, it's like I said, man, I can take these motherfuckers anywhere I want to, and they work. They work quite well. I will put a funny thing here, okay? Because of Overguard, okay, for on Eximus, the Eximus are actually take a little bit longer to kill than an Acolyte because of Overguard. Because you have to cut through the Overguard and then get to their shields and armor and all that shit, to where an Acolyte is just armor and, you know, shields, armor, and health. So Eximus are actually the more difficult to kill. Just skosh. Ain't much, I can tell you that.
Their rage is vehement, their focus impressive. Man. Give them all warriors.
This thing is a good time. Okay.
They have just shut down
this thing
systems.
is 100% a good time.
Capsules your way.
So like I said,
there is a sanctuary target here, Hunter. I sense
body shots.
Track it with the synthesis scan. Don't let it escape.
I'm not even looking at the game. I'm just gonna run circles. These things are leaving me speechless, okay? My curiosity, as soon as I saw the Incarnon weapon list, went straight to firearms. Because although you can stat stick with the Praetos, which was the second, I believe the second Incarnon, can't remember now. Either way, the set of Incarnon Tonfas, you can stat stick build like a motherfucker with those, and they're actually quite good at it. They're not bad weapons to boot anyway. Well, my arm's all over the place. And then you got the Inidem, which basically goes from a dagger to a fucking sword in its Incarnon mode. Either way, both of those, in my opinion, were successful in their own right. I think that the Inidem is the far better melee from the Incarnon stuff. Oh yeah, oh, shit, I forgot. Excuse me, I need my Incarnon back, because there's an Eximus over here. See, he did. Oh no, he's not dead. He's hiding. So they cut through their overguard. Then they get all fucked up. I mean, what do you say about this? This thing is just murder. It's like laser cutting and shit. Just, you're doing, like, non-precise laser surgery with this fucking thing. This is like cutting tumors out with a fucking chainsaw. I mean, damn, dude. It's a good time to be an obsolete weapon in Warframe, okay? Because apparently if you're a fucking obsolete weapon, you all of a sudden are potentially about to get some just like giga-busted bullshit coming on. I will say the next weapon, the Atomos, that one, or Atomos, or whatever the hell you want to call that goddamn thing. I call it the Atomos because that's what it fucking looks like. I mean, it could be the Atomos. I usually pronounce everything wrong anyway, so it doesn't really matter. Well, you see the guys dying from the status of the fucking, of the primary fire. This thing is stupid, dude. And like, I say it's stupid, It's not even as good as the Strun of the Latron, but it's... I mean, that's like comparing a fucking BMW to a Mercedes, you know? I mean, like... I think good when it comes to these Incarnon firearms is kind of relative. So far. Like, there's some that I haven't done, that I haven't gotten yet. I haven't gotten the Bratton or the Lotto because of illness and bugs and everything else. But from what I'm seeing, from what a few streamers that I talk to have been telling me, is that there's an interesting quirk with the Lotto that I'm actually quite interested in seeing. Which is more like something like Disruption, and Eidolon Hunters and Level Cappers tend to do. Primary weapon swaps, or like general quick weapon swaps. So, I mean, basically for like priming damage, and then using more physical element damage weapons once there's a different element primed. I mean, we're just sitting there waiting for an acolyte, just killing time right now. Because honestly, unless I just do something absolutely stupid, these guys literally do not pose a threat with this thing. I mean, how would you just like to fire a gun and just chain around a door like that, or AoE around a door? Are you trying to mag proc me, Williams? You dead yet, motherfucker?
When you are ready, go to extraction.
Hi, Angst. How you doing today? I mean, it's really, really hard to get mad at this gun. I found it completely irrelevant. So much so that I mastery foddered the fucking thing out because I had the Kuva Ogress, and the Kuva Ogress was just better than this. I mean, having direct toxin is cool if all you want to do is farm against Corpus.
It is done, Tenno.
Or if you want to, you know, go through and do a corrosive build, or do a viral build, or a gas build, and just, you know, stack damages off of that base toxin, that's fine. So there is uses to having base toxin, but base toxin in its most easiest form is just, I mean, it's like, here, I'm going to attack the health of fucking Corpus because their armor is really weak and it passes right through their shields. This thing was, like, absolutely irrelevant, okay? 100% irrelevant, in my personal opinion, and it is no longer irrelevant. Like, I've got it on my Banshee now, my Gloom She setup, because you guys know I don't put Gloom on very many things. I think I've got Gloom on 2 frames. 2 or 3. I've got it on Banshee and I've got it on Garuda. I think I may have tested on Mag, so it may have been on one of the configs on Mag, but now with her pull change, like, that's kind of a non-factor, so. But either way, this is, like, great for, you know, like a squish frame running Gloom or something like that, because that way you can just basically, all the guys that are slowed down, you can just nuke the shit out of them with this thing, and all you have to do is hit them in the body, so they can be way the fuck off. Because you're built for range, so they can be way the fuck off in the distance. As long as you can fucking hit them, projectile speed is beautiful for this. So, talk about starting the month off right. You know, come back from vacation, because I'm actually shooting this pre-vacation, but this is starting the month off right for me, because I'm going to be doing back-to-back videos for these Incarnon Genesis weapons. Because, like, I know for a fact that while I'm on vacation, the rotation is going to come back around for the Bratton and the Lotto, so that's going to be in there. And then, like, we'll just go in order of what's coming up, okay? So, like, the next round of weapons that are coming up is going to be the Akin Brunt, the Soma, Fasto, Nami Solo, and the Burstin. And the two that I'm quite interested in there are the Soma and the Burstin. because the bursting is just bad. And the Soma used to be good until it got nerfed into the fucking ground. So I'm damn curious about what those two are. Now, the next two, I said I wasn't curious about bows, but considering the options that you get in the last rotation of these weapons, I am goddamn curious about the Zylock. The Zylock, for anybody who doesn't know, is that weapon that pops up with Baroka. It is basically the pistol version of the Tigris. So it's a duplex trigger, double barrel pistol shotgun. I can't even fathom what the fuck that thing's going to do, but it has really got me intrigued. The other one is going to be the Dread, because that is the week of... That's the week of stalker weapons, apparently, because you got the Dread, the Despair, and the Hate are all in there. I hate throwing knives, so I ain't touching that bullshit. I didn't, even when I run out of options, I ain't touching that bullshit. I hate throwing knives in this game. I don't care if they turn into fucking thermonuclear fucking warheads that you can throw at fucking enemies. I don't give a shit. I'm just not gonna do them. So anyway, but when it cycles back around, Bratton and Lotto are obviously in there, and I've, you know, see, because of me having the Bratton Prime for such a long time and building it, trying to make it good, it's got like 7 or 8 form on that motherfucker when I tried to make it good and just kind of gave up on it. So I could potentially be eating Forma on that fucking thing. I do have a Riven for it, so we'll see if that helps, but that's whatever. But the Bratton and Lanto are going to be on the cycle around, and then I'm going to do the Furus, and I'm probably just going to do the Furus on the next cycle. Because the only one I won't have will be the Skana, Paris, and Kunai off the first one. Then it'll be Bo, which I've heard that thing's a massive disappointment. So Bo, Lotto I already have, Furus, Furax, don't give a shit, I heard those are kind of crap too. And then the Strun, already got that. So I'll probably just do the Furus for that next week. The week after that was the Magistar, the Boltor, the Bronco, the Ceramic Dagger, and the Lex. Now, the Bronco and the Ceramic Dagger are where I'm going with that one. Excuse me. And then the week after that will be the dual Toxicist and the Miter, because I got the Torid and the Atomos, and the dual Iker I could give a shit less about. And then to round it all out, the Vasto will probably be the only other weapon that I give a shit about. Because I'm not going to go in depth on every single weapon just because they're in here and they exist. Because I'm going to go off of what I use. And if it helps you, that's great. But in the end, it's going to help me. So the next video is going to be the Atomos or the Atomos or whatever how the hell ever you want to fucking pronounce that son of a bitch. So for right now, folks, I want to thank you very much for watching. As always, we'll catch you in the next one, all right?